This is the Experience Pros Radio Show. Got an opinion or want to ask us a question? Email radio@experiencepros.com or message us on the Experience Pros Facebook page, and we'll interact with you live on the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. Thank you for tuning in. And Angel is not here today, so you've got me, and I have open lines for you. If you'd like to call in and participate and share with us what you do by way of making a powerful presentation, we'd love to hear from you. The number to call, 303-632-4160. 303-632-4160. Going to carry on our conversation about making presentations that rock. And along those lines, it's funny because we're talking about public speaking and avoid caffeine and alcohol. And one of my co-hosts earlier this week, Ann Hogan with Ann Hogan Consulting, posted a little note that says, maybe I shouldn't have drank those 2 pots of coffee before I came into the studio. And you did fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a great experience for us and our listeners. So along the lines here, we're talking a little bit about how to make presentations that rock. Telling a story has been covered, and also making sure that you ask questions at crucial moments to break up your regular presentation rhythm. And you'll notice that in many cases, public speakers have a cadence, and the cadence needs to be such that it is not always monotonous. It can't always be the same. It's kind of why songwriters throw in a chorus, because the chorus changes the cadence of the song. The verses have one cadence and the chorus has another, breaks it up. Same thing with public speaking, and we do it by injecting questions. Answering a question, even if only in their heads, makes your audience feel involved in your presentation and keeps their interest glued to your words. The next thing in making a presentation that rocks is to organize that presentation into 3 clear points. I agree with this. I had a great teacher, probably the best educator in my entire life. It was my freshman year in high school. I don't even know if he's still alive today. His name was Mr. Eccleston. And Mr. Eccleston was the very first person who ever bloodied one of my papers and handed it back to me. I received an F on my very first ever paper that I turned in for my English teacher, and I was crushed. However, I learned a valuable lesson that day, and he looked at me. He kind of had a little twinkle in his eye as I was near the point of tears, and he says, "You're better than this. But what you're trying to do is I ask you to tell me the time, and you built a clock. You told me how to build a clock." He says, "Keep it clear. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And if you can do those 3 things, you will be able to accomplish more in less time, more powerful communication than any other person around." The number 3, it's a magical number in many cultures since antiquity. Something about 3s fascinates the human mind, and it helps us to retain information much better. Body, mind and soul, lock, stock, and barrel, PB and J, 2 ingredients, but 3 consonants in this abbreviated form. Blood, sweat, tears, right? These 3 work like a charm. So too, if you can put your presentation into 3 points, those 3 points, now you say, well, I've got so much more. I know so much more. Of course you do. But my friends, that's not what you get paid for. You get paid to be concise about a certain topic. Go get that thing and use the number 3. Cost, timeline, results, problem, suggestion, solution, beginning, middle, and end. Just remember to divide it into 3, and your presentation will rock. Humor makes the world go round. So holds true. The same holds true for the business world. At the end of the day, no one likes to work with a stiff. So when you're making a presentation in front of a serious client or investor, remember to use humor in your presentation. Doesn't mean you have to crack jokes the entire time. In fact, I suggest that you don't crack jokes the entire time. I will never forget the time that I was driving with my mentor as we were driving through Nashville, Tennessee. He says, "Eric, I've tried everything, and as it stands to, as it relates to humor," he says, I've tried stand-up comedy. I've tried pratfalls. I've tried one-liners, riddles, jokes. It doesn't matter. I just had to come to the conclusion that I'm not funny. And I knew my mentor better than anybody, so I agreed with him. And I said, oh, I totally see that, Dwayne. I completely agree. You're not funny. And then he looked at me, and I didn't see the 2x4 as it came straight to the back of my head. He said, neither are you. Now, you need to understand that when somebody delivers a message like that, you will recover, but you will have a knot on the back of your head. And that knot serves to remind you of the very point that some people should not try to be funny. And I believe that I'm one of them. Now, on an aside, I'll also say that I'm probably one of the most humorous people I know. And the reason I'm humorous is because I don't try to crack jokes to be funny, although sometimes I do here on the program. What I really try to do is take advantage of situational comedy, that when people experience something situationally and it's humorous, I draw attention to that. And when you do that, you find that your presentations kind of rock. Let's go to the next one. PowerPoint. I say ditch it. That's not in this gentleman's write-up here. He says, design your PowerPoint for persuasion, not for distraction. He says, design a PowerPoint with purpose, not a PowerPoint that simply fills the empty wall behind you, or a PowerPoint that repeats your presentation in bullet point format. Those type of PowerPoints are useless. What you want to do is create a PowerPoint that complements your presentation, that completes it as a narrative story. Here's how I use PowerPoint. Because and first of all, I don't. As a rule of thumb, I don't use PowerPoint. And I don't encourage anyone else to use PowerPoint, because PowerPoint becomes a crutch. And what happens when you have a crutch? You lean on it. And so what you're doing is you're actually turning your back to the audience as you read the screen that they can read just for themselves, but you read it for them. And now all of a sudden we've got the Department of Redundancy department, and it is a crutch that no one needs. It does not help your presentation. If I use a PowerPoint, though, here's how I do it. I know what I'm speaking on, and I create a time-controlled slideshow that conceptually shifts imagery, just images, not words, not bullet points, just images, to rotate at or around about the time I shift into my next point. So if you've got a 3-point message, guess how many images you're going to have in your PowerPoint? Maybe 5, maybe 7, 8 at the most. Why 5 and not 3? Well, because you've got your intro and you've got your outro, and then you've got your 3 points, whatever those 3 points are. And what about if you want to do 2 images per point, because you're going to spend 5 minutes on it? Don't keep people waiting forever for the slide to change. I say ditch the PowerPoint altogether. But if you have to use it, do it as a time slideshow and use images, not words. Stop using the crutch. Stop leaning on it. We'll be back with more positive business talk right after these messages.
You're listening to the Experience Pros Radio Show, America's home for positive